First half, complete. Second half is now officially underway. We are at the halfway point, and welcome to Formula 2 here at Breakout Racing League, round 13 for this 24-race championship. And we have arrived at none other than Zandvoort. You got 14 corners that make up this track, 2 DRS zones. We'll see how these cars can go through, can manage this track to the best of their ability. And, well, you guys did not see last week. However, if you just take a look, there's been a little bit of a change. In case you haven't noticed, the cars are looking a little bit different. If you look at the Primo right here, that is a number 1. We are officially now on F2 2021 cars. Since the cars came out a couple weeks ago, they have decided to switch over for the rest of this season, which is kind of convenient considering that we are at the halfway point and we switch. But nonetheless, the racing is still the same and everyone is trying to go for pole position. Drunken Shamrock is, well, he wasn't P1, but now he is down to P5 and now is being led by the Prima of the Bees. And, well, let's see if he can get his second pole position of the season right now ahead of Gooslayer and Ferrari Nut. Ferrari Nut now in the Red Bull liveried high-tech. So that is a big change. He went from a silver high-tech to now a full-on Red Bull livery. And now he is provisional pole for the time being ahead of Gooslayer and the Bees going through the third sector, purple sector 2. So there you go. He definitely has the pace. Still currently P1, bit of shuffling up and down from P2 and P3. Unsighted Port, championship leader in P4 right now. Can he possibly improve through this final corner at turn 14? Well, Ferrari Nut is not going to improve his position because he's already at the front, and he goes on to pole position ahead of Unsighted Port, actually. So Port actually went up to P2 in the Unite Virtuosi, but unfortunately is beaten out to pole. There you have it then. Ferrari Nut gets pole position here at Zandvoort ahead of Unsighted Port. There's the Bees, Gooslayer, Beaver Times, Drunken Shamrock, Sox Lobster, Taylor Clan, Governed Dwarf, and Yeet Doggo. However, the format is different. They're not doing the feature race. Now, the sprint race is first. So instead, Ferrari Nut will not be on pole position. I believe it's actually going to be the Carlin of Yeet Doggo, if I'm not mistaken. So the top 10 completely reverse. So that is going to change things massively. Looking over the grid, and my assumptions were correct. Yeet Doggo starts P1 in the sprint race ahead of Governed Dwarf, Taylor Clan in P3. I had a feeling he would retire so then he could start up front, and he just done exactly that. The Cat Pulse of Sox Lobster in P4 ahead of Drunken Shamrock, Beaver Time in P6 ahead of Gooslayer, then Step Beast in P8, Unsighted Port P9, Ferrari Nut in P10. So Port and Ferrari Nut both have a bit of work to do. 13 laps for these drivers, and looking over at the tires, everyone is on mediums, and that is already a spinner. Is that Beaver Times? Yes, it is, in the HWA, in which I just want to say real quick, the HWA is honestly my favorite car. It looks so good, but, you know, it is what it is, I guess. I can't drive it, unfortunately, because I'm up here in the booth, or else you guys would not be getting this stuff. Nonetheless, though, let's see what Beaver Times can do, as well as everyone else. Yeet Doggo on provisional pole in the Carlin. And actually, I just noticed something. This is a bit of a graphical glitch. He's technically in Dan Tictum's car, but he's got the Red Bull livery of Jeruvalas. That is a very interesting switch. So I don't know what that's about, but nonetheless, it is what it is, I suppose. And then Governed Dwarf in the other HWA, so both HWAs are in here as well. Taylor Clan in the Unite Virtuosi, which is Guan Yu Zhou's So he's got an Alpine livery. Then we got the Campus, a Sox Lobster in the white and black livery. Not just going through the liveries at this point, but we move. Then Trident has stayed relatively the same with Drunken Shamrock. So that, not really much of a change there. Then it's Beaver Times also in the HWA as we went through before. Actually, no, apologies. Goose Slayer is actually the one in Dan Tictum's car. Yidoggo is a Jehan Jeruvla's, but he's just got Dan Tictum's number. That's a little weird. The Bees for the Prema, relatively unchanged. And he is in Robert Schwartzman's car. On side of port in Drugovic's car. He's got the number 3, though. Again, another graphical glitch. And then the biggest change, Ferrari Nut in the high-tech in the Red Bull livery. And now we go on to the grid. Yidoggo on pole. Ferrari Nut lining up P10. The on side of port and Ferrari Nut. Those could be the two to watch out in this race. Five lights are on. And it's lights out. And away we go. A pretty good start from the Carlin. And the HWA has fallen back a bit. Taylorcon already going for a move on the inside into turn 1 already. Does he have the move done? Not quite. He's still going wheel to wheel alongside Yidoggo. Taylorcon now has the inside going into turn 2. Yidoggo gonna try and fight it back. He gets really on the curb though. That's gonna settle him. And now Taylorcon is up into the lead. Yidoggo in P2 ahead of Sox Lobster. There's a yellow flag, and that's Governed Dwarf. He has spun off at turn 2, and that's not going to help his race at all, but he hasn't DNF'd and no wing damage, so he will continue on. Goose Slayer and Sox Lobster going at it. Actually, Goose Slayer is around. So he's lost a lot of time, and now is back down to P9, and with some front wing damage as well. That's going to hurt his race as well. And he gets out of the way of Governed Dwarf, so he is down to last. Meanwhile, Unsighted Port, holy, I did not notice this. Already on the first lap, Unsighted Port went from P9 up into P3. Already going to try and chase after Yidoggo. Ferrari Nut's all over the back of Drunken Shamrock as well. He's going to possibly go for a move around the outside, but Drunken Shamrock just covers it off as actually Drunken Shamrock is looking for a move around the outside of Unsighted Port, but Port just able to keep the Trident at bay and will stay P3 for the time being. But wow, Unsighted Port already up to P3. Taylor Clan, however, he leads the first lap of 13, and there you go. He has officially led the first lap. Yidoggo in P2 ahead of Unsighted Port, and then Drunken Shamrock. Ferrari Nut up into P5, then Sox Lobster. Actually, Drunken Shamrock dives in around the outside of Unsighted Port, but Port just manages to cover it up. Ooh! Drunken Shamrock nearly had a collision with Ferrari Nut, but luckily they had just managed to escape with that. Meanwhile, further back, Goose Slayer has gotten past Governed Dwarf with that front wing damage, I want to note. So Goose Slayer, with that front wing, he still has plenty of pace, and he's now going to try and chase after Beaver Times for P8. Still a long ways to go, though. We'll see. Ferrari Nut all over the back of Drunken Shamrock, though, basically pushing him through these corners, but it's Zamford. It's hard to overtake around here, so we'll see if he's able to do it. Drunken Shamrock, oh, a little bit of a moment there for Ferrari Nut, but he's actually going to try and go around the outside. Nothing doing. Possibly go for a switchback going down the straight. He tucks into the slipstream, and he's going to try and dive in on the inside into the third sector. Contact between the two, and ooh, good save from Ferrari Nut there. Just manages to save the car, and will stay P5, and still all over the back of Drunken Shamrock for P4, as he just really wants to catch up to the side of Port, as he knows he has the pace. He just needs to show it. Taylor Klein sets the fastest lap as he leads the second lap of this Grand Prix. Then it was quickly taken away by the championship leader of Unsighted Port. So Port definitely getting a move on in this race. DRS has now been enabled, so everyone within a second of each other will have the DRS as of now, as the Bees gets past Sox Lobster up into P6. Looking over at position changes, Taylor Clan started P3. He is now up to P1. Yidoggo down a position. He started on pole. As Ferrari now gets past Drunken Shamrock and go around the outside. Does he make the move stick? Yes, he does. Very decent move from the high tech, and now moves himself up into P4. I was just about to get onto Unsighted Port, making up 6 positions. Well, so has Ferrari Nut, as he moves up ahead of Drunken Shamrock and up to P4. Drunken Shamrock stays in P5. The Bees moves up 2 positions. Sox Lobster down 3. Beaver Time down 2. Goose Slayer down 2. And Governor Dwarf down 8, in which he started P2, so not the start he would have wanted. So far, though, everyone taking it easy. And Taylor Clan managing his gap, pulling away a little bit, but it's not much. That's the fastest lap of the Grand Prix as well, but Unsighted Port quickly takes it away. So Port definitely getting a move on in this race, trying to chase after Yeet Doggo for P2 in this race. We'll see if he can get a move sooner or later. He's gonna have to get it done soon, though, as well. Who knows what could happen in the in the feature race, due to the fact that obviously Ferrari, he started on pole position. He's gonna have pole position for the feature race no matter what happens. So if he crashes out, he'll still start P1. Bit of a weird thing that, but Beaver Time now gets past Sox Lobster. Actually, they're going wheel to wheel down the right, left and right, keeping it easy between them. Yellow flag, Taylor Clan's round. Taylor Clan has gone off. What's happened? There he is. He has gone off. I'm not sure where that is, but he has lost a ton of time. He's gone from P1 down to P6. You know, the battle between Beaver Time and Goose Slayer has settled. Actually, no, it hasn't. My mistake. As Goose Slayer has the DRS on Beaver Times in the Carlin. Is he going to go for a move? No, he doesn't. Oh, but this contact between the two Beaver Times goes wide. That's not what he would have wanted. Goose Slayer getting a really good exit out of that corner. Nearly contact between the two. But now Goose Slayer with that front wing damage again. He has moved himself up into P7. Meanwhile, battle for the lead going on as Unsighted Port is going to dive in on the inside of Yeet Doggo over P1 in this race. He's gone from P9 to P1 in just 5 laps. So your championship leader, Unsighted Port, now leads the Grand Prix. Yeet Doggo settles in for P2, but he's going to have to be careful because Ferrari is not too far behind, 1.1 and closing. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happened to Taylor Clan there, but that is just super unfortunate from him. Meanwhile, battle further back between Sox Lobster and Beaver Times. Beaver Times losing out in this instance, and Sox Lobster has now moved up to P8 in the Carlin, and we'll see if he can possibly improve his position in this race. We'll have to wait and see. Yeet Doggo trying to keep in touch with Unsighted Port right now, but is just losing touch of him. He does have the DRS, but it's just not enough. And meanwhile, yellow flag, Drunken Shamrock is off. I believe that's at turn 9. Yes, it is. So now he has fallen down to P6 and possibly even P7 as now Goose Slayer gets past the Trident and up into P6 in this race. I'm not sure what's happened to Shamrock, but maybe he got a little loose, but that is not what the Trident driver wanted. He was looking pretty solid in this race. Battle for P2 going on, though. Ferrari now on the back of Yeet Doggo, possibly go for a send into turn 1. Yes, he does. Yeet Doggo trying to hold it around the outside, but Ferrari now with the better line and the better traction out of that corner. He moves himself up into P2, late braking from the high tech, and that was a good move. Goose Slayer and Drunken Shamrock are now going at it. Goose Slayer trying to defend Shamrock for P6, manages to do so, but only just, as Drunken Shamrock is no doubt going to want to get past. I mean, just looking, he's all over the back of that Carlin driver right now in Ben Viscal's car. And look at him, basically pushing him through these corners. Is he possibly going to go for a move here? No, he doesn't. He knows that that's risky. Goose Slayer going a little bit wide, though. So maybe Goose is struggling with that front wing damage. It is possibly hurting him a little bit, but is clearly not that significant for the time being. But he's just holding on Drunken Shamrock ever so much more in this race. Meanwhile, further up ahead, Taylor Clan's got a really good exit out of turn 9. He's now going wheel to wheel with the Bees down into turn 10. He's got the DRS in relation to the Brema driver. Gonna try and go around the outside. Very close between the two. Taylor Clan managing to do it. So around the outside, move into turn 10, switching to turn 11. Or sorry, no. Turn 11 and turn 12, my apologies. But Taylor Clan getting the move done. And now he is up into P4, so he is trying to make up for that mistake. The Bees, though, he has the DRS, he has the slipstream, gaining back on UNI Virtuosi driver. Possibly going to go for around the outside move on him. A little bit of contact, I think, there, and it's just not enough. And the Bees will just have to settle behind for P5. Back up to the front, though. Unsighted Port does lead the Grand Prix ahead of Ferrari Nut. But Ferrari Nut is gaining. He just set a purple Sector 1. So Ferrari Nut is definitely gaining in this race. Can he possibly catch out the Unai Virtuosi driver and take back the lead of this race? We'll have to see, but already getting close between these two. They were P1 and P2 in qualifying. They're definitely showing in the sprint race today. Looking further back, there's a bit of a battle going on for P8 as Sox Lobster and Beaver Times are going at it. Beaver Times actually getting a decent exit out of this corner. He has the DRS in relation to Sox Lobster, and now he's tucking into the slipstream, going to possibly go for a move into turn 11, backs out of it. So he will not be making a move yet. Ferrari Nut sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, 120.9. So Ferrari Nut, likewise his pace in qualifying, he is all over the back of Unsighted Port in the high tech. Yellow flag, and that is for Sox Lobster. Lobster is off at the final corner. He's lost a bit of front wing as well. That's not what he would have wanted. He goes into the pits. No doubt to change that front wing and go on to a soft compounded tire. Very interesting. That is no doubt a fastest lap as Governor Dwarf has left the session. Uh-oh. I shall invite him back real quick. There we go. Hopefully he gets the invite and joins as soon as possible. But going back over to the lead, though, Ferrari Nut still hanging on to the back of Unsighted Port. Port getting quite a bit of pressure from behind. But it's hard to overtake around here, like I said. And Ferrari Nut is just trying to get a good exit out of this corner, especially. Yellow flag. Doesn't look like anybody spun. So maybe that might be a faulty yellow flag. I'm not 100% sure. Meanwhile, Ferrari Nut, he's got the DRS on Unsighted Port. He is gaining. He's in the slipstream. Gonna dive around the outside into turn 1. He did this on Yitago. But Port, managing to have the better line, stays ahead. Ferrari Nut getting a decent exit out of turn 1, though, into turn 2. But it's just not enough, and we'll have to stay behind for another lap. He is really trying to get ahead of the Virtuosi, but Port just holding his own. So far, this is really the only battle that's going on for the time being. Everyone just evenly spread out. DeBees, though, I want to mention, he hasn't fallen off of Taylor Klein. He's still managing to hang on to the back of the Unai Virtuosi. Remember, Taylor Klein, he is P2 in the championship. And, well, he's going to want to he wants to close the gap to Port. But right now, that's not happening, considering the fact that he's in P4 and Unsighted Port is in P1. So, obviously, that is advantage Unsighted Port. But we'll have to see as this race goes on, as we're only on lap 9. Yellow flag, that's for Drunken Shamrock. He's gone off again. Doesn't look like he has any damage, though, so he will continue on. Back over to the lead, though. Ferrari Nut, once again, in the DRS of Unsighted Port. Port, once again, covering the inside. He knows that's the better line. Drunken Shamrock gets a 3-second time penalty. Ferrari Nut trying to go around the outside. Port goes a bit deeper this time, though. Ferrari Nut trying to go around the outside into turn 1. They're going wheel to wheel. Now into turn 2. Ferrari Nut once again has the outside and gets the move done. So managing to pinch Port onto the apex has allowed Ferrari Nut to get ahead. And now Ferrari Nut leads the Grand Prix. He got pole position. He started 10th and is now up to first place. And that is exactly what he would have wanted. But he's going to have to be careful because, well, we'll see if Unsighted Port can possibly catch back to the high tech. Right now, 6/10 between the two. And, well, Port is actually losing a bit of time in relation to Ferrari Nut. So Ferrari Nut is really going at it. But he gets a little bit of a squirrely moment there. And that might allow Unsighted Port to get close, but just not enough. The DRS isn't as powerful in relation to F1, obviously. So he's just not able to do anything just yet. And this is just helping Ferrari Nut even more, as obviously he got 4 points for qualifying for getting pole position. Oh, and Unsighted Port just hit the wall. Is that damage for the Unai Virtuosi driver? Yes, it is. No left side end plate for unsighted port. And that is not what he wanted, as Yitago is not too far behind. He's around 3 seconds behind unsighted port. So will Yitago possibly get P2 in this race? We'll have to find out. Obviously, the front wing damage isn't as significant. Drunken Shamrock is going wheel to wheel, though, with Beaver times. Drunken Shamrock having the inside. Beaver just having to seat position. And will now move down to P8. Drunken Shamrock back up into P7. But he has a 3-second time penalty, so he's going to have to pull away 3 seconds if he wants to keep that position. 2.6 between unsighted port and Yitago. Yitago is gaining, but is it going to be enough? We only have around 2.5 laps left to go, or 2 1/3, really. So I'm not sure if he'll be able to catch. Obviously, not Ferrari Nut. Unsighted port does have the disadvantage due to the fact that he has the front wing damage, but he does have a pace advantage in relation to Yitago. Yitago, though, I've actually been kind of impressed with him this race. He started on pole. He obviously got overtaken by the two that are in front of him, but he's managed to stay out of trouble and has just kept his cool, kept his calm, and he's sitting in P3 right now. So, I mean, right now, he's en route for a podium. We'll see if that stays. Only 1.5 laps left to go. But right now, this is looking good for Yitago. We'll have to see if he can stay there. As Taylor Klein is not really gaining, actually, I want to note. Taylor Klein is not entirely gaining on Yitago. So, I think Yitago's just biding his time now. He knows he's got this, as long as he just doesn't lose too much time in relation to Taylor Klein behind. Battle for P8 going on, though. Beaver time still all over the back of Drunken Shamrock, nearly going for a move there into turn 5, or turn 6. Or turn, I don't even know the corners anymore. I need to do my research. But, yeah, Beaver's still looking to make a move on Drunken Shamrock, so these two have not separated at all. And this is helping Beaver times, because obviously with Drunken Shamrock having a 3-second time penalty, that is helping his race. So he is currently sitting provisionally P7. But on track it is P8. He's not too far behind. Well, I mean, he's right all over the back of him as of right now. On the final lap of this Grand Prix now, Ferrari Nut currently leads 6.3. And well, he said before that he has felt pretty pacey already. And well, getting pole position by quite a margin ahead of unsighted port. He's shown it. Then obviously he went from P10 to P1. And well, it's never easy to do that. But he has done exactly that. Meanwhile, battle for P7. Beaver Times has gotten past Drunken Shamrock up into P7. Drunken Shamrock looking to fight it back, though, all over the back of the HWAs. He's also going to go for a lunge. No, he doesn't. He thinks better of it. He's very much all over the back of him. Going back over to the lead. And Ferrari Nut, well, really, he's been night and day in this. Drunken Shamrock gets ahead of Beaver Times. But nobody's getting ahead of Ferrari Nut in this race. Comes around the final corner. And he's going to win the sprint race here at the Dutch Grand Prix. And by quite the margin. Unsighted Port will come home to P2 in this race. And Yitago gets a podium at the Dutch Grand Prix. Taylor Clan finishes in P4. DeBees just managing to hold off Gooseslayer. Though Gooseslayer actually got a 3-second time penalty. But DeBees gets P5 ahead of Gooseslayer. Drunken Shamrock coming around the final corner. He's actually spun off. So he has spun. Beaver Times will finish in P7. Drunken Shamrock doesn't look like he will finish P8, as Governed Dwarf has now gotten past. So Governed Dwarf will finish P8 and the last points paying position. Drunken Shamrock with that spin, losing him 2 positions. Finished in P9. As we now wait for Sox Lops to to finish P10, and unfortunately, out of the points. Ferrari Nut, though, showing what he's made of in the second half already. And he takes the first win of the second half of the season. Ooh. Wasn't the most exciting, but still full of excitement. Driver of the day goes to Ferrari Nut, unsurprisingly, due to the fact that, well, last to first, technically. And, well, nothing short of pace. As he also got the fastest lap as well, if I'm not mistaken. Ferrari Nut, there he is on the podium, getting the sprint race win. Port managing to finish in P2. And Yeet Doggo, I'm not 100% sure, but I think this might be his second podium? I'll have to double check on that real quick. Days Freak has now joined the lobby, so we will have 11 drivers in this race. Let's see if he is able to get in on time. Going back over, yes, that is Yeet Doggo's first ever podium this season. But there it is, Ferrari Nut, fastest lap, race win, and pole position. That's already quite a decent haul of points. Ahead of Port, Yeet Doggo finishing in P3, ahead of Taylor Clan. DeBees in P5, ahead of Goose Slayer. Then it's Beaver Times, P7, Governor Dwarf P8, Drunken Shamrock P9, and Sox Lobster settling off the top 10. Well, the only 10, really. Oh, already a little bit more action. You're here now for the feature race, and we have a bit of rain. Going over to the grid, Ferrari Nut got pole position. Well, he starts pole for unsighted Port in P2 ahead of DeBees. Goose Slayer in P4 ahead of Beaver Times. Drunken Shamrock in P6 ahead of Sox Lobster. P8 goes to Taylor Clan. P9, Governor Dwarf. Yeet Doggo will start P10. And as you can see, due to the fact that it's wet, we have wet tires for the F2 cars. Obviously, F2, they do not have the inter tire in relation to F1. But nonetheless, it is still going to be an interesting race. If you guys missed it, Ferrari Nut took the win. And, well, he definitely is showing pace. Unsighted Port finished in P2. Yeet Doggo getting his first ever podium in the sprint race. We'll see how that turns out in the feature race today. And, well, can Yeet Doggo go from P10 to another podium? Maybe even a win. Can he do exactly what Ferrari Nut did? We'll have to wait and see. He's looking decent, but, 19 laps. 19 long, wet laps. We'll have to see how that pans out. And for those that, well, I would say are interested, but not really, yes, I am alone. Sad. But nonetheless, I may be alone, but I mean, hey. Who said I can't provide some entertainment in some way? I don't know. Going through to the third sector now. Ferrari Nut now starting to bunch everybody up, as he knows that if he stays on the grid for too long, that could possibly lose him a little bit of tire temperature. And, well, that is not what he wants in relation to Port, in which Port I've seen before, not F2, not just in F2, but also in other series as well. He says he likes the wet. He says it, he's shown it. He's shown he has pace in the wet. So we'll see if Port can challenge Ferrari Nut in this race, or if anybody can challenge. Taylor Klein could also be one to watch out for, starting in P8. We'll have to see how the other Unite Virtuosi can get and make his way through the field. As we now line up for 5 red lights in this Grand Prix. Yeet Doggo lining up P10, but we now just wait for Governor Dwarf, who will line up P9. Five red lights ahead of the drivers. Lights out, and away we go. A pretty decent start from the front two. DeBee's getting a little bit squirrely, though, off the back. And there's already contact at the back. I believe that is Beaver Times and Yeet Doggo getting all caught up. Actually, no, Sox Lobster, my mistake. But Ferrari not managing to hold the lead. Ahead of Unsighted Port, Goose Slayer managing to get up into P3 in the Carlin. So great start from him. Drunken Shamrock also getting a good start, as well as Taylor Clan, as the Bees and Governor Dwarf swapping for positions, as the Bees now gets ahead of Beaver Time. Yeet Doggo now moves his way up into P8, as Governor Dwarf is now slotted down to P10. So not the start he would have wanted in this race. But Ferrari not managing to hold position, and now he's going to try and pull away, as somebody has gone off. Beaver Times has gone off. He has gone off at turn 7. Oh, and no front wing either. That's not what he would. That's not what he wanted for the start of this race, and will no doubt have to pit as well. No front wing, no downforce. Basically, he's just gonna have to take it easy. Meanwhile, Taylor Klein gets ahead of Drunken Shamrock. Drunken Shamrock's actually spun off. He has spun off at the exit of turn 10. Not what he would have wanted. He is now down into P10. And he's going to have to make up a lot of positions in this race, or possibly hope for a safety car. Governor Dwarf gets ahead of Sox Lobster, as Sox Lobster actually made a bit of a mistake and is now down to P8 in this race. But Ferrari Nut leads the first lap, almost a second ahead of Unsighted Port. Goose Slayer in P3. Yellow flag behind, that's Yeet Doggo. Yeet Doggo is out. And that is a virtual safety car. He has spun off at the exit of the final corner, possibly hitting the wall. Oh, yeah. Oh. Not the greatest of times for him. He may have gotten the podium, but unfortunately will not get anything in the feature race, as we had 2 people into the pits. And that is Sox Lobster and Beaver Time. Obviously, Beaver Time's getting that front wing change. He will slot down in P9, but a long ways off of the lead. Virtual safety car, though. Ferrari Nut holding position. He won the sprint race. He won qualifying. He's going to want to do it again. We'll have to see in, well, I would say 18, 17 laps time. Wait for the virtual safety car to end. Going over to the position changes. Virtual safety car has now ended. Ferrari Nut inside of port, managing to hold position. Goose Slayer up a position. Taylor Clan up 4. The Bees went down 2 positions, but is on the back of Taylor Clan, so he's going to want to improve up a position and only make it down 1. Governor Dwarf up P3, so a decent start from the HWA. Drunken Shamrock in P7, Sox Lobster in P8. Beaver Time in P9. Yellow flag, that is for Drunken Shamrock. Once again at P10, he's been having troubles at that corner and is just not getting what he wants out of it. So he will just have to regroup and try and get a rhythm. Ferrari Nut around a second. Yeah, well, there it is, a second ahead of Unsighted Port right now. Just kind of keeping it easy. Well, the wet conditions are definitely difficult. Not just in F1, but I would say even more difficult in F2, as well the downforce isn't entirely helping you stay on the track. So it's really just down to you. And Ferrari Nut managing his pace. Same with Unsighted Port, staying on the back of Ferrari Nut for the time being. That's a purple sector 1, but that's quickly taken away by Goose Slayer, actually. Goose Slayer, he's in P3, and he's staying quite nicely behind the front 2. So Goose Slayer really showing that he has the pace in this race. Could he, well, I don't want to call it too early, but he is on the podium. Could possibly see him jump up the order a little bit more. We'll have to wait and see. Taylor Clan in P4. There's a yellow flag, and that is Drunken Shamrock once again. This time at turn exit of turn 3. I am just trying to figure this out all in my head. He has spun off at the exit at turn 3 and is now down to P8. As there's a lot of debris going on right there. I believe that was kicked up from Sox Lobster. Yes, it is. He's actually got front wing damage. So I'm not sure what's happened there. But he's got front wing damage and will have to pit again. And it's gone from bad to worse for the Campos driver. Right, that's the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. And right now that is staying, as no one else is able to better that lap time as of right now. Ferrari Nut just trying to pull away on side of port, staying within that 1.2 second gap. Gooslayer has fallen back a little bit though. I don't know if he's had a bit of a moment, but now is down to 2 seconds in relation to the leaders ahead. As Sox Lobster gets a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting, and that is not going to help his race at all. As well, obviously with that front wing damage, that's just going to hurt his race even more. So far though, everyone just kind of keeping it easy. They know how tricky it is in these conditions. Sox Lobster goes into the pits, same as Drunken Shamrock. They both go into the pits on this lap. So they will go into the pits and possibly change their front wing. It's just a tire change, actually, for Sox Lobster. For Drunken Shamrock. Sox Lobster getting a front wing change. But now that has put them at risk of being lapped, as well Ferrari Nut is in the 3rd sector, and they're just starting the 1st sector. Let's have to see how that translates. Yellow flag, and that is from Drunken Shamrock once again. Oh, bit of a moment there for him as well, as I think, who was at the fastest lap? It was Ferrari Nut. Okay, Ferrari Nut once again showing more pace. Currently 4/10 ahead of the next lap. .3 between Ferrari Nut and unsighted port for the time being. Sorry for going silent there. I was just dealing with something a little bit quickly. But so far, the front two just kind of holding position, and Gooslayer is starting to fall back a little bit. One person that is falling back, though, actually is Taylor. Taylor has now been overtaken by DeBees. I think he's had a moment at turn 7. And, well, now he has fallen down to P5. And, well, it's not entirely going well for him. But we'll see if he can claw his way back up in this race. So far, nothing really all that crazy going on in this race, which is all right by me. I'll take it. Oh, I've actually just noticed this now. TaylorCon actually has front wing damage, so that explains it. Ferrari Nut sets another fastest lap of the Grand Prix, now lapping the HWA. I believe that is Beaver time. Yes, it is. So Beaver Times has officially been lapped, and TaylorCon is into the pits. So he has made the call to change his front wing. And no doubt they'll be on a new set of wets as well. Can't really go into inters as they do not exist. Sox Lobster is now retired for the session. And that's another virtual safety car. Oh, he's gone off at turn 7. That's a very interesting place to go off, needless to say. But virtual safety car has now been deployed. We now have our two retirees in this race. And, well, that neutralizes things. Keeps my voice happy, keeps me happy. Oh! Well, that has changed things massively. Ferrari Nut now has a drive-through penalty. He was commanding this race, and that has hurt him an awful lot. As now he has to serve that in a couple laps' time, and that's going to gift the lead now to unsighted port. Drunken Shamrock enters the pits gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Ferrarinot's actually going to serve it now. So Ferrarinot is now going to serve his drive-through. Nah, that's just painful to see, really. You never want to see that happen to anybody, and Ferrarinot just getting it wrong with the Delta, and is now falling down to P4 without even having to pit, and nearly hits the wall for good measure. Nearly hit the wall coming out of the exit. But that puts Port now into the lead of this Grand Prix. Gooslayer in P2, and DeBees now up into P3. Going back over to the standings, Gooslayer has a total of, I think, at least 4 podiums. I haven't been updated on Belgium just yet, but from what I know, he has at least 4 podiums. And, well, this could be another one added to his collection. DeBees, this is going to be his 2nd podium. It's another P3. And speaking of Gooslayer and DeBees, I believe they're only just separated by 4 points. So, Gooslayer will gain a couple points. Yellow flag, that is for Drunken Shamrock. He is off. Don't know what's happened there to the Trident driver. He has front wing damage. And it's gone from bad to worse for him. But he will just run along and just get at least some decent points. Port now is starting to build a bit of a gap. Yellow flag. Not sure what's going on there. I think that might have been for Beaver Time. I'm not 100% sure. Bit of a boring race, I would say. Obviously not the least exciting. It's definitely not the most. The yellow flag, and that, I believe, is going to go to Beaver Times. Yes, it is. He spun off at turn 3. And, well, it's not what he would have wanted either. And he has spun off again. And he has lost even more of his front wing. Drunken Shamrock gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane and is now officially retired from this race. So Drunken Shamrock has called it. He said his time is over and is the 3rd DNF of the session. We are now left with 7 drivers. One of them obviously being championship leader and race leader, Unsighted Port. He's building a bit of a gap to Gooslayer behind. And is just keeping it easy for the time being. Gooslayer. Luckily for Ferrarinot, one thing that is definitely helping him, he is provisionally P4, technically. He might have not made his pit stop, but he is gaining on the Bs. And, well, when he does make a pit stop, I believe he might come out ahead of Taylor Klein. So I think there's still a mandatory pit stop in the wet. I'm not 100% sure on that, so someone might have to fact check me on that. But obviously in the dry, it would be a mandatory pit stop onto a new set of wets. But, yeah, I'm just, well, what am I saying? Ignore me, I just said pit onto the wets in the dry. No, it'd just be a mandatory pit stop from one tire to the other. But in the wet, you'd suspect that they would pit for a new set of the same compound. But I guess now is not the case. Because Beaver Times now goes into the pits and Ferrarinot spun! Glad I stayed on board with him there. He has spun off. Oh, and he's hit the wall. Could that possibly be rear wing damage? That's definitely not going to help his race at all. As now he is going to fall down. He's stayed in P4 though. But we'll see how much time. He has lost a lot of time to Governor Dwarf. And when he pits, he will no doubt come out behind Taylor Klein. Taylor Klein, which has already made his pit stop. Want to note real quick, he has made a pit stop in this race already. He's just trying to gain as much time as he can. But right now, it's nothing doing. The question is if people have to pit. So I don't know if they have to. Well, Gooslayer's definitely pitting. He is now into the pits for his one and only pit stop. DeBees is in as well. So I guess there is a mandatory pit stop after all. question is what time Unsighted Port will pit. Farina's into the pits as well. Change onto a new set of wet compounded tires. And will come out behind Taylor Clan and behind Goverdorf, in which his AI has not pitted yet. So Goverdorf is not really getting any points out of this due to the fact that his AI has been driving the entire time, so that's not what the HWA wanted. But, you know, for his AI, he's doing a stellar job. Needless to say. It's Unsighted Port, lap 10 of 19, still leading the race. Well, it's been pretty comfortable after Ferrari Nut's moment, and it's becoming ever so much more comfortable. Gooseler is gaining a little bit, though. Not as much as he wants, but he is gaining marginally, needless to say. So the new set of wet compounded tires is obviously the way to go as of right now. We'll see. Does Unsighted Port go into the pits? Yes, he does. Support now into the pits. And we'll pit onto a new set of wet compound of tire, I have no doubt. There's his pit crew. And yep, new set of wets. But to no surprise. And will most likely come out comfortably ahead of Gooseler. Yep, quite comfortable, and he just takes the easy outside of the pits, and he knows he's got it. And there he is. He has now officially been unleashed. Back into the lead. Taylor Clan now sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, so his wets are now starting to gain a bit of traction, and is now trying to chase after DeBees. Ferrari now gets past Goverdorf, as Goverdorf is now into the pits in the HWA. New set of wets as well for the HWA. But of course, this is his AI. Of course. Taylor Clan now sitting in P4 in this race. He finished P4 in the last race. This race, he is in P4. So we'll see if he can possibly catch up to DeBees in this race. Take the third spot of the podium, 1.1 between the two. And he is gaining. He was a lot further back before. Obviously, with the pit stops did help, but he was gaining in relation to DeBees. So the undercut has worked for him. Even with a front wing change, actually. I just remember that. He had to change his front wing, let's not forget. So with that undercut, it's obviously worked out for him. He's just been logging the laps quietly. And that is exactly what he would have wanted. And he's still... Well, he is getting... Well... He is in the dirty era. DeBees as of right now. DeBees obviously knowing this. He's just trying to keep it on the track right now, which he's doing so. The question is, what is the exit in relation to these drivers? Yellow flag in sector 2. That might be for Goverdorf actually, as Beaver Times is actually a lap down. Actually, no, it would be Beaver Times as Goverdorf is. Well, he's an AI. AI don't really make mistakes. Ferrari Nuts has the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, so Ferrari Nut definitely getting a move on. But he's 7 seconds behind Taylor Clan as of right now. It's kind of a calm, easy one, as said before. Taylor Clan, though, losing a bit of time to DeBees ahead. He is trying to gain 2 onto the Parema driver, take the 3rd spot, so it's damage limitation to his teammate, championship rival, and championship leader, Port. Beaver Times goes into the pits to change his front wing since he went off at turn 8. Now, no doubt be onto a new set of wet compound. Yes, it is. Taylor Clan right now with the oldest wet compounded tire, let's not forget. So even with the oldest wet, he is still showing quite a lot of pace in this race. But one person that is still definitely showing pace right now, who's just set a purple sector 2, is Ferrari Nut, currently sitting in P5. He has gained around a second, actually over a second on this lap. That doesn't get a good exit out of that corner. So he is starting to struggle a little bit in the 3rd sector, but in the 1st and 2nd sector, he's absolutely lightning. And while he doesn't set the fastest lap, but he is still crucially gaining on the cars ahead. And despite the up and down race, he will get those. He will grab 2 points in this race for the fastest lap. And for those that do not know, obviously Formula 2, they get 4 points. I mean, they get 2 points instead of 1 for the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Farina getting a little bit squirrely there, but manages to keep it going. Lap 13 of 19. And it's just been, well, I'd suppose that Port right now is probably just sitting comfortably in a blanket because he's taking it easy. He knows what is being done. He is pulling away from Gooslayer behind. And he knows he's got it on lock. All he needs to do is keep it on the track, which as of right now, he is doing. Gooslayer, though, his best finish was P3. And, well, he has gotten that a total of 4 times already. He's gonna improve that right now, up into P2. Inside of Port, that's the fastest lap of the Grand Prix now with a 130.6. So Port now actually starting to show his pace. He's taking it easy, but now he wants the fastest lap. He wants to take it away from Farina. He knows that if he takes it, that is just helping his lead ever so much more. Yellow flag, and that is actually for Farina. He has spun off. No damage. So he will continue on. So he's had a moment. And, well, he has fallen back from Taylor Clan. That would say that P5 will be his unless something else happens up front. Speaking of something happening up front, Taylor Clan is now all over the back of Davies. Davies getting a little squirrely there on the exit there. And Taylor Clan all over the back of the frame, basically pushing him through these couple of corners. Is he possibly going to go for a lunge here? No, he doesn't. He will stay behind. He's trying to get a really good exit, but he's just being blocked by the Prima driver as of right now. So Davies just parking his car around these apexes. Taylor Clan is going to want to dive it if he wants any hope of getting P3 in this race. Unless Davies gets a 3-second time penalty. But right now, nobody has time penalties on lap 14. Davies, though, goes a little bit wide. That could allow Taylor Clan to sneak it up on the inside. Not quite. Doesn't get the exit either, so that's not going to help him. So he'll stay behind at P4. And Taylor Clan's probably getting frustrated as of right now. As Davies, he knows Davies is not as fast as he is. And he just wants to get a move on. As of right now, it's just not happening. Drunken Shamrock has now left the session, and I'm not surprised. It's not been the best of times for him at the Dutch Grand Prix here at Zandvoort, as he is the third retiree of this race. Taylor Clan now starting to lose a bit of pace in relation to Davies, so he is possibly being affected by possible dirty air, yellow flag, and that is a virtual safety car due to the fact that Ferrari has lost his front wing. So Ferrari has had a moment. And now has to change his front wing. Your pole sitter, your sprint race winner, now has to change his front wing. Will he stay in P5 though? Is the question. Because Governor, he's coming round to the final couple of corners. Could be close. I think he might just get it. Just. Farina's now coming out of the pits. As Goverdorf is now blasting down the straight. The virtual safety car has ended. I think Ferrari has P5 still. So he will stay there. He goes a little bit wide there, so that could possibly be a warning for exceeding the pit exit white line. Not 100% sure about that though. But he manages to hold P5, and now he just wants to make sure he doesn't make any more mistakes now, as he gets a little bit loose there on the exit of turn 3, like I just said. Ferrari not having the best of times here. Taylor Clan still just all over the back of Davies as of right now. Still nothing doing in this race for him. But hopefully, we'll see if he can possibly get a good exit out of this corner. Looks like he has, but it's just not going to be enough as he feels that he's just a little bit too far ahead unless he goes for a little bit of a late move. He is later on the brakes, but it's just not enough. Because obviously there's a corner you have to make first if you want to do anything. Davies getting really squirrely there. So Davies starting to struggle on those wets. Yellow flag, that might be for Beaver Times, which is just right up ahead where Taylor Clan wants to get past. Oh, Davies has gone off. Davies has gone off at turn 3. Managed to keep it going, though. He's not have front. Actually, no, he does have front wing damage. He did hit the wall. So DeBees now has front wing damage, and that has promoted Taylor Klein now up into the podium positions. There you have it. The pressure has finally gotten to him. Well then, well, not really much else to say. Everyone's just very, very spread out as of right now. Port now leading the Grand Prix, 8.4 ahead of Gooslayer, so he has been pulling a gap. And maybe a little bit slow, like slowly gaining an advantage, but still an advantage nonetheless. Beaver Times now goes into the pits, I believe. No, he doesn't actually. He just gets out of the way of the way Taylor Clan, as he has now been lapped again. So I think it's been lapped 2 times now, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, he has. So he is down 2 laps as of right now, but he'll still score some points. He gets squirrely, though, on the exit there. That's not going to help him. But he still manages to keep it going out of the wall. For this being a wet race, I definitely expected more, if I'm being honest. But, you know, not everything comes to you. So, I just have to wait. I just have to wait until the end of this Grand Prix, basically. Yeah, everyone just right. I think Ferrari Nuts possibly now just going for fastest lap in this Grand Prix as well. He has it. He has fastest lap, but he might want to be improving that right now. So we'll see if he does get the fastest lap again in this race. Port is not too far behind though for a challenge of the fastest lap, but with those wets obviously being 5 laps older, yeah, it's not helping him at all. So we'll see if Ferrari possibly does get the fastest lap. We'll stay on board with him for now. Getting 2 points for fastest lap. Obviously, here he had 2 points due to the sprint race. And 15 more to go with that. And then 4. Well, he's getting 12 points out of this due to the fastest lap and getting P5. We'll see if he does set a purple sector 2. He's even. He is even with his time right now. So he needs a really good 3rd sector, which the sector he's not really had the best of times around. So far though, keeping it easy, and that's the final corner. He's spun quite a few times here. Does he do it again? No, he doesn't. Gets a little bit loose though, I noticed. Is this the fastest lap for him? Yes, it is. A 1:30.3, so he's nailed the 3rd sector. At least for him. He has for his fastest lap, he has absolutely nailed it. And now takes 2 points to his name and just stretches it. Coming around, though, the final couple of corners is unsighted port. Lap 18 of lap 19. The slow business is officially over, needless to say. Port doesn't get a better lap time, though, so he's possibly pushing for fastest lap, but now we have started the last lap of this Grand Prix. And Port, well, I would say he may have gotten fortunate, but he's also had the pace to stay away from Gooslayer, who's been running a very good race. Gooslayer holding position in P2. It's been a decent day for him. Not been the best of days for Taylor Clan in this race, obviously losing out on the win in the sprint race, but he's managed to recover to a podium here in the feature race. DeBees, I don't think, has he moved positions? He hasn't, so it could have been a podium, but unfortunately that mistake has cost him. But he is still in P4, so some decent points for him. Ferrari Nut starting on pole position. He looked like he was going to have a great weekend, but it was just not the way to go. It's been a very long Grand Prix. There you go. I'm not sure how to say it. Arcadia? I'm not 100% sure. So there you go. There's the link as Port now comes around the final corner. It's been a long one, but Port wins the feature race here at the Dutch Grand Prix, and by quite the margin. Gooslayer comes around the final corner, and he will finish in P2, his best finish in Formula 2. Taylor Clan finishing in P3. The Bees will come around the final corner. Not the podium he would have wanted, but still a P4. And he actually crashes off the line. So he does it in style, needless to say. So he's definitely happy about that, needless to say. Ferrari Nut is coming around the final couple of corners. We'll see if he goes for another fastest lap in this race. Not sure if he's up on his time or not. Come around the last corner. Hits the wall, actually. Lost a bit of front wing. Does he better his lap time? He did. He did better his lap time. So there you go. Ferrari Nut managing to finish this race with the fastest lap. Driver of the day goes to Taylor Clan, going from P8 up into P3. It's been a decent recovery road for him. And, well... it's definitely, bit of a long one, needless to say. But Port takes the win here at the Dutch Grand Prix. Gooslayer finishing on the podium. And Taylor Clan finishing in P3. Another good day for Carlin as they streak out their gap in the Constructors' Championship. As I said, their goal was over 1,000 points. Right now, after this race, they're sitting at 600, well, not updated yet, but 612 was the last time it was. That'll definitely increase in this race. And the drivers we will be talking to for the interview are Unsighted Port, Ferrari Nut, and Taylor Clan. So I shall now get them into the party for interviews. Hopefully they join. Here we go. Port taking 37 points in this race. Ferrari Nut taking 33. And Taylor Clan taking 23. Just more than Gooslayer.
Oi, oi, oi.
I'm not even gonna question the noises you guys are making. I know you guys have your mics muted. I know you don't have it included, but for those that don't know what they're saying, they're basically pulling Daniel Ricciardo stuff. That's all you need to know. Well, now that everyone is here for interviews, I actually went into F1 2021, not F2. I am very smart. But anyways, we now shall move on to interviews, and we shall now start with Taylor Clan, who got 23 points. So, Taylor, in the sprint race, you obviously started up at the front due to the fact that you purposely started P8. I know you. You purposely started down there. But...
yeah, what you said.
That's what they all say. But anyways, starting up near the top in the sprint race, taking the lead in the first couple of laps, but unfortunately having a moment and losing out, but still managing to get P4. Then in the feature race, starting P8, bit of a recovery, and well, had a couple moments here and there, but still managed to finish on the podium. Not the points you would have wanted, but still pretty decent hollow points. How do you feel about that race?
Man, I don't want to come back here. These curbs are horrendous. Whoever designed the track, I don't like you. First race should have been an easy podium, if I'm being honest. Tapped the curb going down the hill. Car got sideways, can't save it from there. Still got back up to 4th. That's whatever. And then second race, started 8th. Got an alright start. And then... what happened? Oh yeah. All I know is the bees half spun behind me, and then I think the following lap or the lap after that, I went down in that corner, entering sideways. It didn't stick. Um, got myself some orange wing damage, and then a recovery drive from there. So nice podium.
Not really much else to say about that, obviously, since it was not really the craziest of races. But nonetheless, still a decent haul of points. You actually just beat the amount of points that Gooselayer got by 1. You had 23, he had 22, so he almost got a podium interview. So it's kind of sad. I kind of wanted to talk to him for the first time.
Wow.
But hey, man, you can't blame me. But needless to say, still third most amount of points in getting a podium in this race. So well done to you. Now we shall move on to who got 33 points in this race, which was Ferrari Nut. So, Ferrari Nut, you got pole position by quite a decent margin over Unset Port. I think it was just over 3/10 or something. I'm not 100% sure. Then in the sprint race, obviously due to the reversal, you started 10th. Then you just managed to make your way up the field. And obviously with Port's mistake, you capitalized on that and you took the win in the sprint race. But the feature race did not exactly go to plan for you. You did start on pole. You did definitely had the pace, but the drive-through, that, well, needless to, I know you can agree with me when I say that didn't help at all. But still, P5 with the fastest lap. Actually, you got both fastest laps. Not the day you would have won it, but it would still be a decent haul of points, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, decent haul of points. Should have absolutely just swept the floor with everything here tonight. Virtual safety cars can go. Virtual safety cars can go the fucking way of the dodo.
Yes, another one.
They are the most annoying thing in existence, and that penalty was got by, get this, a margin of 0.036.
I feel that pain.
In a slow corner.
I feel that pain.
Weekend to me.
They can take those out at any time for me. I'm done with them because I lost the championship and I just got screwed out of a race win because of them.
What
So,
Yeah,
championship did you lose?
the Season 2 F2 championship. Same kind of thing.
Adam won that.
Same thing. Same flipping thing happened. And again, by fractions. So, I don't like VSCs. I really don't. But yeah, sprint race went.
Pretty sure a lot of people can agree on that.
Sprint race went great. Obviously, like I said, started 10th because of being on pole and only having 10 people here. That was dead last. So got off to a decent start. But then the two guys who were in front of Port and I decided to get a little bit too close for comfort to each other. So I just kind of laid back and followed him around the outside, and we cleared both of them off before we even got to the hairpin. So pretty good start altogether there, and then just kind of picked my way through. Was a little bit tough getting around Shamrock because he was trying to repass Port, despite being a decent bit slower, which I don't really understand the logic of. You know, if somebody's a lot quicker than you and they pass you, probably not a good use of your time to try fighting them. If they're that much quicker than you, they can just pass you and disappear off in the distance. Not very smart, in my opinion. But, yeah, got around him. Taylor, I think, had a moment and made a mistake.
I spun.
I figured I thought you did. I couldn't really tell because your car
There's your
blends
answer.
into the barriers. I kind of just assumed by the polystyrene board that was smashed to bits that you were off to the side of the track somewhere. But, yeah, that definitely was my weekend, and I'm going to be an asshole for a second here. I'm sick of peons fucking up my races. If you can't drive in the rain, get off the
Not sure how
track.
to react to that.
If you can't drive in the rain, get off the track.
Yeah, I'm assuming you're talking about the VSCs that happened during that race.
Yeah.
That's the reason why. Yeah, so
And as
there were
far
quite
as
a few in that.
and as far as the jokes of me bringing out one there right at the end, I was driving pissed off, so I wasn't exactly
Speed
driving like my normal self there.
Can I talk now?
Go ahead.
We'll get to you in a second, Port. Well, needless to say, it was still a pretty good haul of points. And second most amount of points, just 4 behind Port. And while getting 2 fastest laps, getting driver of the day in the sprint race, taking the win in the sprint race, and still getting a decent haul of points in the feature race is definitely a good weekend for you, but not what you would have wanted.
And pole position.
But still, nonetheless, yeah, that too. But nonetheless, still a great race from you. And we shall now move on to Port, who's been waiting for oh so long. 37 points for you. Just missed out on pole position. Sprint race didn't exactly go your way. You were ahead of Ferrari Nut, but hitting the wall on the exit of the final corner didn't help. And, well, you still managed to hold on to P2 in that race as Gooslayer was gaining, I believe. Or was it? No, it was Yeet Doggo. But in the feature race, obviously you started P2. You managed to stay close to Ferrari Nut. And obviously with Ferrari Nut getting that drive-through, you capitalized. He served it, and you just pulled away and took a very easy win. And once again, getting the most haul of points in the weekend. How do you feel?
Yeah, that sprint race was really annoying, not gonna lie, when I kind of just, go to turn the car, and the car just simply goes into the wall. Not much you can do after that. I totally had Ferrari on the start of the feature, except my setup meant that I just locked the rears at literally every single corner, so I kind of just went straight on at turn 1. I'm kind of glad I didn't take him out, because I had no idea where to brake. Qualifying, I had no game audio, so I was kind of just guessing as to, when to shift and stuff, so I'm kind of happy I got P2 anyways, but yeah, we move. It's a dub.
I mean, it would be a dub when you take the most amount of points, wouldn't you?
That is what dub means, yes.
Yes, obviously. And well, obviously with that result, you once again extend your championship lead over your teammate and Ferrari Nut. I'm not entirely sure what the gap is because you didn't update it. But we're obviously round 13. Round 13. We're past the halfway point.
72 points ahead of me.
Yeah. We did the math.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that.
No problem, baby.
But obviously,
And we're well on our way
passing
to
the halfway
1,000 points.
I mentioned that. I 100% mentioned that.
Thank
But
you.
obviously, passing the halfway point of the season, you're just getting closer to that championship trophy. Anything can change though, but Port, you're obviously hoping that you want to just take it as soon as possible, don't you?
Yeah, pretty much, because then I can just hashtag not show up at the last ones. Nah, I'm kidding.
You say that yet, we don't know with you sometimes.
I mean, I'm showing up for lulls at this point.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fair enough.
You know,
But-
that team's championship is gone.
Oh yeah,
I feel like the second Taylor and Port became
Yeah.
teammates after last season.
Well,
it probably already was gone.
I
But
mean,
well,
okay.
Neymar and I would have had a decent chance of
Nah.
giving them a run
actually
for their
showed
money.
up.
Yeah, but if he
Bro, we
but
had
he
like a
dipped out.
400-point gap.
Yeah, he dipped out, and then I had nobody, and then might as well have been nobody for a teammate.
I genuinely think our gap is close to 400 points right now.
It's something huge like that.
Maybe if you did points from last week, we know.
yeah, exactly.
At,
I
at
think
this
this point
point,
we should end the stream so that he can go 2 points.
yeah,
Yeah,
agreed.
exactly. That's exactly what I was going to do. Thank you, Taylor. But with that, that is going to wrap up F2 for tonight. But be sure to tune in tomorrow for Realistic, where they shall be racing around Zambor as well. Then on Friday, we got Tier 3 and Tier 4. And on Saturday, Tier 1 and Tier 2. But if you guys aren't a fan of Formula 1, we've got ACC coming up on Sunday and Monday for Round 3. I would tell you what the track is, but I don't exactly remember.
Monza.
Be sure to tune into that.
Thanks.
But it's going to be everything for me tonight. So thank you, and good day, and good night, and